Hi everyone, I'm Heather. I'm a nutritionist and a GAPS practitioner, and I am so excited to make this video. This is a video I've wanted to do for a long time, and I am comparing homemade milk kefir made from raw milk and kefir grains. It's the easiest probiotic food to make. Seriously, so easy. It's ready in 24 hours. Versus probiotic supplements. So as a nutritionist, I do love supplements. There are a few I recommend that are super high quality. They'll give you such a bang for your buck. But I am also not a fan of people wasting a ton of money on supplements they don't need. And unfortunately, probiotics often fall into this category. So as a GAPS practitioner, I have read all Dr. Natasha McBride's work, and she says fermented foods are definitely better than probiotic supplements if you can handle them. Anyway, today we're going to compare milk kefir to some of those probiotic supplements. So let's get straight into it. The first probiotic supplement we're looking at is Biocolt. Now this was created by Dr. Natasha McBride. It's a GAPS approved probiotic supplement. In a pack, which has 120 pills, is about $28. It contains 2 billion colony forming units per pill. And so that means a whole bottle has about 240 billion colony forming units. Now that is just the beneficial bacteria that goes into your gut and can multiply and grow and colonize basically. And it has pretty good variety. It has 14 strains. Okay, so the second is the Metagenics Ultraflora Intensive, and that is 60 capsules, 10 billion colony forming units, making it 600 billion colony forming units per bottle. So right away you go, oh, that's way better than the Biocolt. Yes, but it doesn't contain very much variety. It actually only contains Lactobacillus plantarum, which is the probiotic that is in most fermented foods. You'll know that if you watch my previous video. Again, check that out. Okay, now the Gut Biome Symbiotic is an Australian GAPS approved supplement. It has 90 capsules, 690 billion colony forming units per bottle, which is already better than the other two. And it does have really good variety. It has 18 strains of beneficial bacteria and yeast. And it also contains a prebiotic. I think it's like a kiwi powder or something. And if you don't know, a prebiotic can go in and feed the probiotics, making them more effective, making them multiply and grow. It feeds your good gut bacteria. But if you're a very sensitive individual, maybe you're doing the carnivore diet or you can't really handle plants, that might actually not work for you. So that's something to consider if you can handle the prebiotic that's added in there. But let's get into the good stuff. Let's compare it to homemade milk kefir. So I looked at a few studies. Some showed that homemade milk kefir contained even more probiotics in this, but the study that I found seemed like pretty general. It just seemed a bit more reliable. It actually had the sources in the studies to back it up. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Now this is homemade milk kefir from raw milk, and you're taking the grains because some milk kefir starters are like a powdered form and they don't multiply, so you have to add the powder every time, and you're not gonna be getting the variety that you will with real homemade kefir. Real homemade kefir is these little grains, you put them in the milk, and they actually multiply so you can use them over and over and over again. And then you strain them out when the kefir is done so that you can use them in your next batch. Okay, so the study showed that there were 150 billion colony forming units in 1 tablespoon. It would take 75 Biocolt pills to get to the 150 billion colony forming units. It would take 15 of the Metagenics pills to get to the 150 billion colony forming units. And it would take 20 of the Gut Biome pills to get to that 150 billion CFU that we get in just 1 tablespoon of homemade milk kefir. Okay, now this is the killer. This is where it really gets into showing how incredible milk kefir is. When we talk about variety, homemade milk kefir from raw milk contains around 60 to 70 beneficial strains of beneficial yeast and bacteria. Those are probiotics. That's incredible. We're comparing that to 18, 14, 1. So it really wins with variety. And the beneficial yeast that it contains actually are great at fighting the overgrowth of bad yeast like Candida in our gut. So milk kefir is actually incredible. It is like my #1 probiotic food. I love it. I make milk kefir smoothies every day because I know I'm getting so much variety. It's like taking multiple bottles of probiotics actually, if you have a cup of it. And I just want to say real quick, I wouldn't recommend starting out with milk kefir. On the GAPS protocol, it's recommended to do a slow introduction, and this is the last fermented food we introduce because it is so strong. It has so much variety, so much quantity of the colony forming units, And I have had clients say, you know, they start out with like a whole cup and they deal with all these mental health symptoms because they're just dealing with too much die-off. It's doing too much in their gut at once, and they're actually not at a place where they can handle it. But if you are at a place where your gut's pretty healthy, this is like the best food for maintenance and continuing to keep it strong. Now, one thing I want to say as well is not only does it have a ton of variety, not only does it have a ton of those colony-forming units, like way more than all these, and by the way, you can make a quart, even if you have like the best raw milk. I think like a quart or a liter in Australia is what we call it. It's probably like $3 to make compared to hundreds of dollars for these. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And not only that, it has no fillers. It's not gonna have those nasty fillers that are actually really bad for your gut. It also has calcium, obviously, so you're getting nutrition there, and it's very high in B vitamins. So if you are thinking maybe I should get a probiotic supplement, if you can handle dairy, I would highly encourage you to try homemade milk kefir yourself. Start super slow, start with 1 drop, see how you tolerate it, and then increase very slowly. And if you cannot handle cow dairy, I would encourage you could do camel milk, you could do goat milk, there's really a lot of different things you can do. I've heard of like donkey milk. I don't really know where you can get that, but that's one option. And if those milks are really precious and you're like, wow, it's really expensive to buy that, maybe you buy it, make milk kefir, freeze it into ice cubes, and you go through that for a month or something. So you can really make it work. It will lose a bit of that probiotic activity in the freezer the longer it sits, but it's still gonna be beating all these supplements, and you're gonna be saving a ton of money and getting so much good diversity and variety in your gut. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna go have a glass of milk kefir.